Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Natalie Rydstrom. Joining us right now is Martin Green, sports writer who's written an article here, Total Medal Betting Value. Pretty tough subject, but Martin has been able to crack it. Link to his article in the description below this video. But if you guys prefer to watch rather than read, we will summarize. Now listen, 206 countries competing. How on earth do you sort of break down that and sort of are able to find the value here for medal betting?
It is difficult, to be honest, but I think out of those 206 countries, there are only a handful of them that are really seriously going to be contenders here. That's the USA, China, Great Britain, Russia, France, Japan, South Korea, Germany, some sort of established European nations, the US, and a few key wealthy Asian nations. So the bookmakers are only offering total medals betting for probably about 15 of the countries, and those are the most established ones. So you kind of look to them. I think the smaller nations are only going to even maybe get a few medals. Yeah. So you can kind of rule most of them out, to be honest.
So obviously, speaking of Russia, there you mentioned Russia earlier. Obviously, they have been pulled out of some sports due to doping. Does this prove an advantage to some other teams and sort of their medal collection?
Yeah, certainly. They're one of the strongest countries historically in the Olympics. I think they were 4th overall in the London 2012 games. Those medals are going to be up for grabs. Not everybody in Russia has been banned. I mean, they're still going to have quite a big contingent out there, but a considerable amount of their athletes aren't going to be taking part, and this will really play into the hands of some of the bigger nations like the US, China and Great Britain, I feel.
All right, fantastic stuff. Now, talking of the USA, they've set a very high target of 104.5 medals in total, 1.83. Is that achievable?
I think it is. It is a very, very high target. I think they might just about sneak past it. They've got more than 100 medals in the last 3 games, and I think the situation in Russia will play into their hands. There were worries about the Zika virus that might affect and stop a few of their athletes travelling to Brazil, but I've looked at the lineups. They've got a very strong team out there. I think they can just about do it. It's going to be close, but I would back them for over.
Okay, so over it is. Not a bad value there, 1.83 Labrooks. Talking of China, now obviously they've got 1.4 billion people to call upon here, and they've obviously invested heavily into the Olympic Games. How much of an impact do you expect China to have, and how far can they go?
I think they'll go very far, yes. It's funny, the Olympics is a sporting event, but it's kind of also a symbol of how well you are doing economically as a country. So for somebody like China that's trying to compete with the US on the global stage and establish itself as a superpower, it's really important for them to do well in these games. You remember back to the Cold War, it was always the USSR and the USA going at it hammer and tong. It's a bit like that now with China and the US, and I think China will be really up for it, and they've got a lot of fantastic competitors. I think they'll run USA close and finish just about 2nd overall.
All right, let's also talk about Great Britain. Obviously, they played on their soil back in 2012 in London, amassing a total of 65 medals, but they are not predicted to do as well, obviously, as they did in front of their home fans. Where do you sort of expect them to finish up, and sort of what bets can we back backing our country, Great Britain?
It's interesting, yeah, bookmakers have recognised that. I don't think anyone's expecting them to do as well on foreign soil as they did in London, which is why they've set the benchmark at 56.5 medals compared to 65 last time.
Yeah.
I think they might fall just short. I think they'll probably beat the 51 that they got in Beijing in 2008, but I can see them amassing about 52, 53, 54 maybe. So I think they might fall just short, and I think it's a risky bet, but if I was betting on it now, I'd back under for GB, I'm afraid.
Yeah, all right then. Finally, are there any other countries sort of worth looking at, any dark horses, or have you sort of pretty much got sort of like 1st, 2nd and 3rd place in mind?
I think that those are 1st, 2nd and 3rd place, but that doesn't mean that there isn't value in the rest of the field, because the main thing that you're looking for in terms of betting on who's going to get over or under the benchmark is who's going to overperform or underperform. I think Germany will overperform, as will South Korea and Japan. those are the countries that I'm looking to put in a really good performance. I think Australia will struggle with the target they've been given, so I'd go under for Australia. So those would be 4 really good bets for me.
All right, fantastic stuff. That was Martin Green there. Do check out his article as well. Link is in the description below this video. Martin, thank you for joining us.